Hi everyone, this is Module 2 of the Clean Fleets online training package, and here we're going to be looking at the Clean Vehicles Directive itself, what its aims are and what it means for public authorities in Europe. The first part of this, I'm going to give a very quick overview of the directive. So first of all, what are the principal aims? The directive overall is aimed at stimulating the market for clean and energy efficient vehicles in Europe. And how is it trying to do this? Effectively, it is trying to use the power of public procurement to boost large-scale demand for energy-efficient vehicles, to provide vehicle manufacturers with the incentive to invest in clean technologies, and that way to introduce these vehicles to the wider market. So, who is covered by the directive? Who needs to comply with the directive? Mainly this is public authorities, and here we're meaning contracting authorities and entities which are obliged to follow the EU public procurement directives. Additionally, transport operators. So a company providing public transport services as a public service contract must also follow the directives when they are purchasing vehicles for that service. Primarily this relates to bus operators. And which vehicles are required to comply? The Clean Vehicle Directive covers only road vehicles, but here it does cover all different types of vehicles, from light-duty vehicles such as cars and vans to heavy-duty vehicles including buses, trucks, refuse trucks, etc. However, there are certain exclusions from the directive. As mentioned, this only relates to road vehicles, so any vehicle which runs on tracks, trams, trains, etc. are exempt from the Clean Vehicles Directive. In addition, member states are able to allocate certain specialist road vehicles which are also exempt. And here we're typically talking about emergency vehicles such as ambulances, fire engines, vehicles used by the armed services, potentially vehicles used specifically on construction sites, etc. Okay, the essential principle behind the directive is that all public authorities must take into account certain key environmental parameters when they're purchasing the vehicles which I've just mentioned. These environmental factors are energy consumption, CO2 emissions, NOx emissions, non-methane hydrocarbons, and particulate matter. And how can they do this? There are several options that public authorities and transport operators can use to comply with the directive. The first of these is to set specific technical specifications for each of those different environmental aspects. The second is to include specific award criteria related to these impacts. The third option is to use something called the Operational Lifetime Costing Methodology, or OLC, and this is a methodology defined by the European Commission within the Clean Vehicles Directive, which actually monetizes those environmental impacts and allows them then to be taken into a cost comparison within a procurement process. Or each of these options can be combined. The most important point is that all 5 of those environmental aspects must be taken into account using one of these options within the procurement process. Okay, so if we look first at the first option, which is technical specifications, what public authorities and transport operators can do here is set minimum thresholds or maximum thresholds which vehicles must comply with. So for example, we can demand that vehicles have the latest Euro standard for harmful emissions, and this covers NOx, it covers non-methane hydrocarbons, and it also covers particulate matter. We would also then potentially set a maximum amount of fuel consumption in litres per 100 kilometres, and also a maximum amount of emissions of CO2 per kilometre. Option 2 is using award criteria for the same effect. So here we can give a certain number of points for compliance with the different environmental criteria. So you can say 40% of the award criteria within a procurement process will relate to fuel consumption, CO2 emissions, and the other harmful emissions as well. Option 3 is the Operational Lifetime Costing Methodology. Here, as mentioned, the precise methodology to be used is actually included within the Clean Vehicles Directive itself. And there's also more information on this in Module 4 of this training package, where we go into the methodology behind this in some detail. Just to give you a quick overview of what is covered within this methodology. What it does is monetize the different environmental emissions that we have. So it provides a cost for what the energy consumption is, for what the CO2 emissions are, for what the harmful emissions are. And you can then bring this into any cost calculation that you have. If you wish to monetize these emissions within your procurement process, you have to follow the methodology that's outlined in the directive. So it's prescriptive in that case. However, it is a voluntary tool. So it's one of the options which the directive provides you with. You don't need to do it, but you can do if you wish to. An important element to remember here is that this is specifically defined to be used as a financial cost. So the cost that you come out with using the operational lifetime costing methodology should not be used in the award points, but rather as a specific cost comparison in relation to other costs as well.